and of course also in your marketing. This webinar is now being recorded. Beautiful. Good to see you, Angela. I'm just waiting for everyone to come on in, and we also have a great special guest that's going to be joining us on this webinar later on. And I also want to just recap that I know that on the invite, Tara was going to be talking about brand building for real estate agents in the digital space. Unfortunately, due to a personal matter, she's not going to be here today. So I'm going to be flying solo with our special guest. So gang, let's just wait for our final of the people coming in, because I can see the numbers are still coming in. We've got agents coming in from Western Australia, Victoria. We've got people from Tassie. We've got New South Wales, where I'm from. We've got Queenslanders. I think we've got people from Canberra coming, Northern Territory. Everyone's represented. Good to see you. Cairns, beautiful Cairns, beautiful Cairns. And there's the great man. In fact, Josh, can I just get you to, oh, there he is. I'll just get Josh to, well, he's gone. That's all right. He'll be joining us soon. He'll be joining us soon. Good to see you all. So gang, hey Josh.
My man.
How are you?
I'm good. We're finally on.
Yeah, listen, Josh, I've been working with you for so long. And yesterday, my friend, I'm going to go off and say, yesterday's presentation or interview that I did with you at Mastery in front of 100 of the best agents across the country, mate, is the best I've ever seen you perform. Absolutely. You've gone up another level. You've got this combination of high levels of energy, high EQ, and now you've added high IQ. Very thoughtful insights, mate. So Josh,
my man,
firstly, I want to congratulate you, because the other week you got awarded #1 salesperson for realestate.com across all of New South Wales.
Correct.
There's a lot of people that are in that, because don't forget, pretty much everyone's got a realestate.com account. So there's a lot of players in there, mate. Congratulations on that award, Josh.
Thanks, Tommy, mate. Thanks for being a part of it as well. Obviously, my long-term coach and mentor. So, mate, we did that one together.
Now, listen, Josh. The way you're tracking now,
yeah,
mate, in the Ray White group, you're tracking, I think, #1 internationally as a principal.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got a lot of fans on here, Josh. Nikki Johnson, who's one of the great agents in Victoria, just there, mate.
Good
Josh,
to see you.
The way you're tracking at the moment, my friend.
Yeah.
You're probably going to end up with, for the financial year, I thought it was going to be 7. It'll be closer to 8 now.
Closer to 8 mil, mate. No one's done that at 26 years of age. So hopefully 8 mil gets me #1 in Ray White. It's going to be close. I'm one at the moment, but #2 and #3, we're all about 300-400 grand apart in GCI.
So Josh, since you're on now, I was going to have the session afterwards, but since you're on now, let's keep talking now. You know, it's flowing, and right. Let's talk about it. You know, Josh, obviously this has been presented by realestate.com, and you're obviously a big user because you list so many properties.
Yep.
And you're a very big user of their reviews.
The biggest.
But yesterday we talked about, you saturate market. You just dominate on realestate.com. You're getting marketing for all of your listings.
Correct.
You saturate the whole market. I mean, is your business now got to the stage where people are just ringing you and ringing you and ringing you?
Absolutely. I suppose realestate.com has been a great platform for us. They've got obviously the banners. We pay the most for Quakers Hill. I think we own about 20 banners: Quakers Hill, Marryong, Acacia Gardens, Stanhope Gardens, Parklea, Blacktown, you name it. We've bought the banners for exposure. I suppose in terms of call-ins that we get, myself per day, probably about 10 to 15 genuine seller call-ins per day, which obviously I take the ones which want me and I spread them out to the office as well, because there's just so much. We pride ourselves getting VPA, the exposure it gets, A, for the client. Realestate.com's the main site in Sydney and New South Wales that's getting inquiry, that's getting traffic. So A, it's helping the property, and B, it's helping promote the agent as well. Obviously, so many viewers, buyers, either they're buying or they're selling and researching, It's got the find and compare agent tool at the top. If you go Quakers Hill 2763, I've sold 210. The next best agent has sold only 20. So I suppose that's cut through for vendors when they're comparing and choosing the right person. But yeah, VPA definitely helps the agent for exposure. My name and face is on every listing on the sales section, every listing on the sold section. And obviously, the more you're consistently in people's faces and on their screens and on their tablet and on their iPhone, that's going to prompt you to get call-ins, more listings, and get more sales.
So Josh, do most of your vendors like just go ahead with your recommendations, or do you have many vendors that sort of say, like, we don't want to spend money marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the market, I suppose vendors have been lucky that the market's been at a peak for probably the last 6 to 8 months. The last time it was really a bad market was probably the start of COVID. And then you go all the way back 2019 to the election. So a lot of people are assuming that it's easy to sell their property. And they usually just say, Josh, you know, the other agents offered us a free standard at realestate.com. Just go with that. But I'm very much pushing the more exposure that people get in terms of if their property's on the first page of realestate.com, it's a premier listing. More people are going to see it. More people are going to come to the open home. That's going to create more urgency, more competition amongst the buyers. And let's say an ad on realestate.com is 2-3 grand, but they get an extra 10 or 20 grand on the sale price. It's worth it. I always use your dialogue. I remember I heard it a couple of years ago. You'd rather overspend in marketing by 3-4 grand rather than undersell by $50,000. And that's cut through that dialogue. Overspend at the start, but it's going to have a return at the end of the campaign because you don't get a second chance at it.
Yeah. So guys and girls, jot that down. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what's more important to you? The risk of over marketing by 3 grand or the risk of underselling by 100 grand? And at the moment, Josh, like you've seen prices repositioned in your market by $100,000, $200,000
easily,
right? Yeah. And let me ask you, at the moment, days on market has gone like, how much longer is it than say last year?
Man, last year we were probably selling them 7 to 14 days. At the moment, it's taking probably between 21 and 28 days, which vendors aren't used to. Obviously, they see all the surrounding success stories for the last couple of years. Josh sold it in a day. Josh sold it in a week. Josh sold it in 2 weeks. All of a sudden, the buyers are starting to ask questions and saying, why aren't you selling them as quickly? But the fact is, there's a lot of buyers still in the market, but there's a lot of uncertainty. We've got the election coming up, which is going to be at the end of May. Financial year's coming up. Easter's coming up. You know, interest rates are going up. That's pending. That's, you know, the bullet's already in the gun there. They just got to shoot it. So definitely the market at the moment adjusting. A lot of buyers have a fear of overpaying now, and that's causing days on market to blow out because people are making a lot of lower offers, 5 to 10% lower than the price guides, and vendors are taking time to adjust and accept the market.
Josh, when you're sitting in front of a vendor, and let's assume this vendor's a little bit, you know, they're digging a bit deeper, they're wanting to find out more stuff.
Yeah.
What do you actually show them on realestate.com when you're trying to show them the value of Premier? Because the truth is, guys and girls, unless you've got Premier, you're building a billboard in the forest. No one's going to notice it in a congested zone of online. What are you showing them and what are you saying to them, Josh?
Yeah, without a doubt. I suppose a lot of people, when they've got them, some vendors will say, Josh, we'll go with your recommendation. You're the expert. Obviously, you get the 5 to 10% that say, nah, I don't want to do it. You know, I don't want exposure. I would literally just pull up my iPhone and I'd give them an example and I'd say, look, you go to the grocery store, you're going to look at aisle 1, aisle 2, the one that's on eye level. Are you going to go right to the bottom? Right now, you know, if you're buying pasta sauce, you'll buy the best one. You're not going to buy the home brand. So at the end of the day, you know, your house is your biggest asset. You want the most exposure. Here's the stats on realestate.com. This is how many views. This is how many people saved the inspection. This is how many clicks we got, how many people phone called me, how many overseas international viewers. This is the exposure. If you don't go on realestate.com, you're not going to get. And they go, wow, 3,000 people aren't going to see my house. Absolutely. Yes, you get the exposure of my database, raywhite.com, Facebook. But at the end of the day, those probably count for about maybe 10 or 15%. 50 to 60% of your inquiry is going to come from realestate.com. Now, as I said, if you want to overmarket your property, you're never going to think to yourself, wow, I should have done that. We're 3 weeks down the track. Let's do realestate.com now. It doesn't have the same effect. You only get one chance at a first impression and one chance to get the most exposure. And as every agent and most vendors should know, when the property first hits the market, that's when obviously you're going to have your most views, your most traction. It's a new listing. It's hot to the market. It's got, attention and traction. No one's going to pay more for a property that's been on the market for 3 months. So definitely, I think you're showing the evidence and the stats, giving case studies as well. This property I sold on Benbury Street, we had it off market for a week. We had 5 people. We launched the property to the market. We had 42 people to the open home. Expectation was 1.25. It sold for 1.305. So in my mind, they spent $3,000 on a realestate.com ad, but they got an extra $50,000 or $55,000 over their expectations. This is why we should do the same thing.
Guys and girls, there's another learning point. Case studies. Stories sell, facts tell.
Yep.
Be a good storyteller. Show case studies. The other thing I would say, Josh, like to me, man, if they're sitting on realestate.com and they're looking at all the listings, yeah, I think that these vendors that are coming on the market are going to think, man, this guy's controlling all the stock.
Yep.
If we don't go with him, he's got all these buyers anyway. And chances are they'll be thinking, man, the person who buys my house, he's going to be talking to them anyway. He's going to be talking to them. We better make sure we get him in. Now, Josh, 100%. Do you get every listing you go to?
Nah, no way. I lost one. I shared it yesterday. I lost one 2 days ago. It was an elderly lady. We had a really good presentation. I was there. Soph was there. We got along. I was closing hard. She just needed to speak to her family members. And then I got a text message 2 days ago, and she goes, "Hi, Josh. It was great meeting you." And I read the first part of the text, and I thought, wow, this looks positive. Open the message. We've decided not, in capitals, to go with your agency. And I thought to myself, oh my God. And I just replied back politely, which is always what I do. All the best, wishing you good luck with the campaign. If it doesn't work out, give me a call. I'm not going to abuse them like all the other agents do in the area. I just came from a place of empathy and at the end of the day, she didn't want to go with me. That's okay. But at the end of the day, if you meet me, you're going to see my buyers. You're going to see me on the bus. You're going to see me on realestate.com. You're going to see me in the letterbox. You're going to see me sponsoring every school, every sporting team. My marketing is saturation. Now, not all my vendors like me. I'm maybe not for everyone, but at the end of the day, if I'm selling the most houses, there's got to be a reason. If I've got 200 sales compared to the next agent, which has 20 in Quakers Hill, I've naturally got more knowledge of the stock, which knowledge means power in terms of evidence. This is why you should pay more. I sold this, this, and this. And I've got the buyers. If a buyer's missed out from a property down the road, we had 20 people come, one person bought it, 19 people have missed out. Why would you go with an agent that doesn't have that database, doesn't have the knowledge, doesn't have the numbers, doesn't have the stats, doesn't have the reviews? This is why you should sell with me. That's cut through an appointment. So I'll sign, let's say 80 to 85% of my listings on the spot. 10, 15% I won't be for everyone, which is okay. But I'm more focused on the positive.
Now, Nicholas Hess has just basically said, what's evident is the unreal energy. Incredible stuff. I said to John McGrath, I said it to you yesterday. I said, mate, I'm sitting on the stage and I yelled out to John McGrath and I said, mate, the reason this guy is getting it is that if I was sitting in a living room with you, it's hard to explain. It's like the wind. You can't see it, but it's there, right? Correct. You feel it. You've got this vibrational energy. For most people, they're going to say, man, that's it. He's going to have this energy. He's going to have the same energy on my house. And if he's got the same energy on my house, he's going to transfer the energy from my house to the buyer. Josh, are you born energized?
Oh, look, for things that I like, absolutely. When I'm passionate about something, a big boxing fan, UFC fan, love it. I'll get all the boys around. We'll watch it, most Sundays when the pay-per-view's on and we have a really good time. I suppose with real estate, I'm just a super energetic person. I love meeting new people. I love challenges. This market's tough. Yes, it's not so enjoyable at the moment. Obviously, it's taking longer and I'm working literally 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't have a social life. I don't go out. I don't drink. I don't do any drugs. I don't do any of that garbage. All I do is focus on my work, focus on my clients, and I get the job done whilst I don't have kids and commitments at this point. So yeah, I just love what I do. I'm a very competitive person. Obviously, when I go into listings against 3, 4, 5 agents, I want to win. I hate coming second. The reason I joined Ray White, being the biggest international brand at the moment in Australia and New Zealand, I wanted to be the #1 agent. This is my first full financial year with them in the group, and I'm #1, and the goal is to win #1 international. And there's lots of good riders in that group, which I'm super proud to compete with. So yeah, I like what I do. If I'm not passionate about something, you know, I'm an all-in type of person, all or nothing. If I don't like it, I won't put any energy into it. But if I love it, like I do real estate, I'll give it 110%. And that translates in the listing. You know, I'm a positive person. I'm not a negative person. I love what I do. And as I said, this is my career now, just owning my own business. Like, I'm 26 years of age. So owning my own business, I've got near to 20 staff members. I want to lead to the front and lead from the front. And I want them to see how it's done.
Now, Josh, I want to ask you, getting back to when you're sitting there at a listing presentation,
yep.
I know that you always like to cover off all the points. You talk about a plan A, plan B, plan. Can you just cover that for our listeners on your listing approach when you're going through things with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose when I sit down in a living room and you say, I'd ask you the first question. I'd say, Tom, you've definitely decided that you're going to sell your property. Yeah, Josh, we're coming on the market. Okay, what's your time frame, Tom? Are you looking within 3 months, or are you looking within probably, you know, between 4 to 6 weeks? I'm looking between 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, fantastic. Right now, guys, I'm going to go through my plan. It's very simple. There's 3 steps. I've got a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Now, plan A is off market. Right now, I feel our database of buyers that we've had from similar properties in the area, we've sold about 8 in your pocket, all comparable 4-bedroom houses. Here's the prices. Here's the amount of buyers that came through. I'd love to show them through your property first for 1 week. Okay, Josh, that sounds fantastic. Beautiful. If it doesn't sell off the market and someone doesn't pay an above market price to secure it before it goes online, then we go to plan B, which is launch the property on the market. That means we'd go full exposure, premier ads on realestate.com, other real estate platforms, Facebook, video. We're going to boost it to social media. We're going to spend about 5-6 grand in terms of marketing to get the most attention to your property. Now, plan C, what happens, Tom, if obviously the house doesn't sell? Are you going to stay, knock it down, rent it out, change agents? What's the plan of attack? Because we're in a changing market, and if we don't meet the market, we're not going to sell. Here's my plan C. I'm going to change the photo. I'm going to change the ad. I'm going to reboost it on social media. I'm going to do a nice dusk shot. I'm going to do a video, a new social media campaign, and we're going to open the price guide. We're going to change the price to get more people, meet the market, and find that buyer to sell the property so you can move from A to B. Obviously, I go through other things as well in my presentation, case studies. It's littered with sold by photos, success stories. One big one that I use, and this is the tip to all agents, is when they're calling me out for an appraisal, they're going to call out other agents in appraisals. Naturally, that's what they do. I sold a house recently last year. I had, 5-6 agents out as well. I don't say anything bad about the competition. I don't have to. My numbers speak for themselves. I sell the most. I've got the highest average sale price. I've got the most reviews, but I make the vendor aware. You've had me out. You've had these other 4 agents out. And here is the numbers from realestate.com. It's literally just a screenshot of that find agent section. And I say, look, here's the top 4 agents in the area. I'm not saying anything negative, but here is the numbers. This is what they sell. This is what I sell. This is my average sale price. And this is why you should be going with me. I make it so compelling. At the end of the day, the numbers talk. Any agent can talk, but the numbers are the facts. And a person who sells more, has more buyers, has got a higher average sale price, is most likely to get the business. And I make them aware of it. And then I go to the end and I say, Tom, right now we've gone through plans A, plans B, plan C. We've gone through all the agents in the area. You've met me. Are you happy with my energy? Are you happy with the process? Yes, I am. Beautiful. Tom, are you happy for me to be your agent to sell your house?
And that's it. You've got you close. You've asked for the business. You've covered it. You've closed every possible door. There's nothing else that I can really think of, Josh.
Nothing.
I mean, or maybe what if they turned around and said this to you, or would you have covered this before? If they turned around and said to you, "Oh yeah, no, it's all good, but we've got someone coming tomorrow as well."
I'd say that's fantastic. Who do you have coming out? Oh, we've got Sophia coming out from Joe Blow Real Estate. I'd say, look, Sophia's a great person. I've got nothing bad to say about them. You're more than welcome to meet them, but there's really nothing else they're going to tell you in the listing appointment that I'm not. At the moment, I've sold all the comparable sales. I've got all the buyers. I've got 358 reviews on realestate.com. This is why you should be selling your home with us. I've got the brand. I've got the team. I'm number one in Quakers Hill, Acacia Gardens, and 10 suburbs. And you've also got Mark, who's number one in Blacktown. You've got Taylor, who's number one in Stanhope Gardens. You've got Luke, who does the ponds. You've got Alex that does Seven Hills. We've got the team, the process, the energy. And right now, getting another agent might cloud your judgment. Moving forward right now, you've interviewed me and 4 others. If it was down to us, who would you choose? Josh, beautiful. Let's move forward.
That's why the guy's number one in Australia, my friends. Combination of problem solving, reading the play and working out what's going through their mind. And then, in addition to that, just blowing them off the park with high levels of energy and backing it up with evidence and data. And mate, whether it's the sold section, whether it's the number of listings, whether it's the top 4 agents, at the end of the day, man, when you say something and you back it up, Josh, now listen, there's a question that's come from Ingrid. How do you go when you're just starting? Well, Ingrid and to James and other people, when Josh jumps off in the next 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to be spending half an hour going through various scripts and dialogues to use when you're up against dominant agents. And I mean, we got to give people hope, Josh, because if you're a like, let's talk about that for a moment. Before Josh Tesselin was Josh Tesselin, when you were in your early stages, I just want to ask you, like, how were you winning business? Because you weren't number one on realestate.com. No. You weren't in the top 4. What were you doing to win? You still had the new business energy.
Yep. So my energy now is probably more than it was before. I was young. I was hungry. I would literally take anything. Like, I'm talking any suburb, 45 minutes, an hour away, anything I could get my name on, anything I could get exposure, I knew I could leverage. So for me, it all started with just one sale. I sold a duplex. Even if you go back to when I started Ray White, they took my database, they took all my realestate.com stats, they took every single listing I had on the market, every single sold now had their photo, my profile got deleted. So I had to literally start from nothing. I remember vividly, my first listing was on Farnham Road, 223 Farnham Road in Quakers Hill. Main road, exposure, signboard went up, sold it, 895K. I then sold 221 Farnham. I just sold 219 Farnham. I got 96 Farnham. I decided to get, or not decided, but I leveraged from one sale and I got 15 literally on the street within a 12-month period. So I think when you first start in real estate, how I beat other agents is I used to take appointments at any time, and I still do. Like, I did that mastery with Tom and John McGrath yesterday. Straight away, as soon as I finished, I went to 6 appraisals back to back. I got home at 11 p.m. at night. I know if I'm in the living room at 11 p.m., 10 p.m., 9 p.m., a lot of agents are 9 to 5. I worked out an algorithm. I'll go into the office around 10, 11, but I'm finishing at 1 o'clock in the morning. So at the end of the day, I would out hustle and outbeat, and I still do. I do the hours. I work 7 days. You call me for an appraisal, I'll be there on the spot. It doesn't matter what time of day. I would always be a positive person. Even though I didn't have the numbers at that point in time, I would always say, another agent might sell 50 houses, but do they have the same energy? Do they have the same work ethic? Do they have imagine this. Right now, Tom, you're selling your house. Another agent might have kids, might have a family, might go home at 5 o'clock. But if a buyer calls me and says, Josh, I want to see the house at 10 o'clock at night, I'll sign and put a 0.25% deposit down. Are they going to get out of bed? Are they going to get off the dinner table and show the house? No. Will I? Yes. And I still do it now. Now I've just got the numbers, the stats, the work ethic. I live local. I bought a house in my area so I could work longer and work more. So it's very hard to beat me in my area, but there's not a lot of me's in all areas. So there is,
and as you can tell everyone, leisure time is overrated when you love your work. Leisure time is overrated for this guy because he loves his work. He's not looking to escape it. He's made passion his paycheck. He absolutely, and Nikki Johnson says, what an absolute legend. Josh, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to spend the next half hour going through some new dialogue and scripts with our people. I want to thank you so much for joining us here today.
Pleasure.
Congratulations on your award, #1 for realestate.com for the salesperson of the year category. Well done. And I wish you all the best for the big award in your franchise group for #1 selling principal internationally. All the best, brother.
Great. It's great to be here. Thank you to realestate.com for having me. Thanks, Tommy. We're brothers, man. And anything else anyone else needs, just send me a message. God bless.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Guys and girls, beautiful. So as Josh comes off, my friends, get your pens out because the work's about to begin. Work's about to begin, my friends. And we're going to spend time now, and I am going to be giving a free real estate gym membership at the conclusion of our event, and it's going to be based on stuff that you reply to. So to start off, can you please, in the chat box, what have been your key learnings so far? Type away in the chat box. Go for it now. Your key learnings so far. Lee says the energy. Keep going. Energy, positive mindset, energy, work ethic. Look at them come in, tell stories. The hustle, consistency, passion, energy, persistence, story, passing on the energy to the vendor. Beautiful, gang. Fantastic. We've got people engaged, and everyone that's typing away is in with a chance of winning a free 12-month real estate gym membership with me as your coach. I've been coaching Josh for 5 years. When I met Josh, he was doing hardly any listings or sales. And I've got to say to you, there's always room for another Josh. Gang, beautiful. Let's start. Get your pens out, because I'm going to say to you right now, as we're moving from a nuts to normal market, I'm going to run through some of the mistakes real estate agents are doing in this current market. #1, they're locking themselves in to a price at the listing presentation. And that means they're forcing themselves to not be able to go back and do price alignments. I'm going to repeat that. The #1 mistake in the current market as we move from nuts to normal is people locking themselves in at a price. You're not an antique store going to collect overpriced listings. Do you understand that? Your job is to list properties that will become sales and you'll get paid. And you won't do that if you're going in and saying to an owner, oh yeah, we'll get you $1 million. And then 2 weeks later, you realize you're only getting 900,000 and you start giving them that feedback. Guess what they say? But you said we'd get $1 million. Guys and girls, learn the art of tiptoeing around price in this market. Don't lock yourselves in. An example, you don't have to say to them when they say, oh, will we get $1 million? We want $1 million. Don't say, yeah, I think you'll get $1 million. No, you'll say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, $1 million would be a great result in this market. And the truth is that until we actually start getting some buyers through, we won't know exactly what we're going to get. But the good news is we don't have any pressure to get the price right today, but we do have pressure to get the process right. And I want to let you know, it's the process and not the promise of a price that's going to get you top dollar. And what I'd like to do, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, is to actually just spend time showing you how we are able to get a 10% more premium price than other agents because we've got a process. So gang, you shift the conversation away from price to process because it's a terrible game to win. And I know that you're going to have times that you've got real estate agents in your marketplace that go in and overprice. Here is the best way to handle the overpriced agents that go in and overprice. If you have a vendor that says, but we've had other agents that said that they get $1 million for us. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, there's a saying in real estate, the biggest liar gets the job. So what happens is one agent comes over, they say $1 million. The next liar comes over and says 1.1. The next one says 1.2. I just want to say to you, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, we could sit here for hours and hours and debate price. We're not going to get it right today. If a real estate agent came along and guaranteed you 45 days of sunshine for your marketing campaign for your property, would you believe them? Of course not, because real estate agents don't control the weather and they don't control the market. The market sets the market. At best, an agent can influence the market. So, number one mistake in this market, my friends, is bang, they lock themselves in a price. Don't do it. Number two is they're not having the original set to sell meetings that we were having prior to 2020 and 21. 2020, 2021, everything was selling. We didn't have to worry about a set to sell meeting. But in this new market that we're in, we've got to have a set to sell meeting. And that's got to happen within 48 hours of listing the property. You've got to sit there with a vendor and say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I just want to give you a heads up. I don't want to have any bad surprises. Over the next 4 to 6 weeks, these are the following things that I want you to be aware of. Number one, I want to let you know that in a week's time, I'd like to have a strategy review meeting, because in that review meeting, we're going to be able to analyze the first 5 or 6 buyers that have come through and see what their feedback is. There's only 2 reasons why properties don't sell in any market. It's either the price is too high or the marketing is poor. I want to do a review on that. The second thing you talk about at the set to sell meeting, my friends, is you must talk about the fact that sometimes you're lucky enough to sell a property in the first week. That does happen occasionally, but often vendors are reluctant to accept it, and they'll often say, but it's only been on the market for a week. You've got to say to your vendors, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, if you're lucky enough to have a sale and the opportunity of a good offer in the first week, please remember, it's not how long you've been on the market, it's how long the buyer has been in the market. The third thing, my friends, that you need to cover at your set to sell meeting is this. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know, Carl, Tom's vendor voice is gold. Do you like that, vendor? But Tom, we think it's worth more. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've got to let you know, my job is to get you a premium price. I go out there, and if I worry about the process, the proceeds will come. Rest assured, let's stick to the process. Guys and girls, the last thing I want you to cover with your vendors at the set to sell meeting is this. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know that there are going to be times I'm going to give you feedback that's going to be negative. It's what buyers are telling me. It might be about your property, or it might be about value. Please don't shoot the messenger. I am just giving you the message. You need to do this, my friends, because I've got to say to you that if you don't do this, you're going to not put yourself in a position to be having these crucial conversations that you need to have. Let's move on, my friends. The next biggest mistake in this current market is that real estate agents are not providing what I call vendor weekly reports. You're all on here because you're realestate.com clients. Do you realize that you've got the ability to get reports that are showing the activity on a property, and then you couple it with a nice single page letter that says this is what buyers like and what they don't like, and have a summary of opinions of value? This has to go out every Monday. And then on Tuesday, you should be having what I call the vendor meeting. Zoom, face-to-face is even better. Worst case scenario, by phone. So you're getting a vendor report on Monday, and they're getting a vendor meeting on Tuesday. The next reason why people are struggling in this current transition market as we're moving from nuts to normal for a lot of Australia is that they're getting no or low vendor paid advertising. Listen to me. I know when the market is hot and the market's putting the deals together and you've got an oversupply of buyers and you've got what is called a high absorption market. Every bit of stock is absorbed quickly. You probably can do a few off markets, but not now. Because if you're not on the market, you're not in the damn market. You've got to outmarket your competition. We're now fighting for buyers. There's a fair bit of stock on, my friends, and your job as an agent is to represent your vendor and allow their property to stand out. Because trust me, if you don't stand out, you don't win out in business. Your job is to allow vendors' properties to actually win the popularity contest over other properties. The next reason why people struggle at the moment is they've got an amateur listing presentation. And I want to draw the 3 types of listing presentations for you right now. I want to just come up here and see if I can just share my screen here. Let's see if we can do this here. We bring this here, we press that there, stop share, press that, present with share screen, come here. I just want to draw this up here, my friends. And come here, present with share screen. And I want to show you what you've got to be doing when you're presenting in the living room, my friends. I'm going to draw it up here. I am going to draw it up. Here we go. We're in business. Connect the app here. There we go. Press that there. Share screen here. We're in business. Beautiful. So, my friends, here are the 3 types of listing presentations at the moment I see in real estate. These are the listing prezos, 3 types. Let's do type number 1. Type number 1, it is what I call the artificial, fake, scripted listing presentation. False Freddy. It's the false Freddy presentation. It starts at A and it goes to B in a straight line. The agent just goes in there, doesn't care about the client, just wants to sign the listing up. And it is just smelling with commission breath. That is not the listing presentation you want, my friends. Then you've got the second type of listing presentation. And the second type of listing presentation, my friends, is what I call the going around in circles presentation. It starts at A, B is where you sign it up, but it just doesn't get there because it's going around and round in circles. There's no structure to it whatsoever. It's this conversation that has no agenda, and generally speaking, the vendor's controlling the whole conversation. Terrible type of listing presentation. Then you've got the third type of listing presentation. It starts at A and it goes to B, and it is always moving forward, and it is addressing issues along the way. You might go sideways, but you're always moving forward. Always moving forward. Sideways, but not backwards. This presentation is what I call the structured presentation, not the scripted presentation. And that, my friends, is the listing presentation I want you to master. Because if you can master this, you're going to get a hell of a lot of vendor paid advertising. And what I also want to do, my friends, is to show you when you're sitting in front of a vendor, there's a few models that you need to show them. Model number 1 is to say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to let you know our job is to add 10% value to your transaction. Most agents will just come along and just try and get a job done in an average way. What we want to do is we want to actually get you 10% more than anyone else in the marketplace. And we know that we can do it because we've got a process. And what I want to do is I want to show you what that process is. We're going to go out into the marketplace, and we know that we've got a very short period of time. It is what I call 30-day graph. 0 days on the market, 30 days, and here is 45 days. I want to let you know, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, between 0 and 30 days is when we've got all the eyeballs on your property. This is the time we have to stand out. We can't sell a secret but not be seen by people at this time. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that we go out into the market, and at any one time, we always know that there are three buyers in the marketplace. There's what I call the emotional buyer. There's what I call the probable buyer. And there is what I call the bargain hunter buyer. And my job, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, is to go out and get you an emotional buyer here. Because this emotional buyer is the buyer that is going to get us that 10% premium over here, right? And I've got to say to you, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, the way we're going to do this is very simple. We're going to go out there into the marketplace and we're going to have a marketing campaign. And our marketing campaign is going to look like this: realestate.com. And we're going to make sure that we're premier. Because if we're not premier and we go off and we go for a cheaper inventory listing, we're building a billboard in the forest. No one's going to notice it there. We've got to actually stand out. Bigger is better. In addition to that, we're going to put it on our agent website. We're going to go on to Audience Maximizer. We're going to give you a boost, get more people looking at it. We're going to get a signboard put up. We're going to, of course, do our just listed drops in the marketplace. We're going to get a video done. We're going to do some of our own social media. And we're going to send that off to our own CRM system. And I want to let you know, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, we've got to make sure that our offline and online are in line, because marketing works in combination, not in isolation. And I simply refuse to mismarket your home and say sorry later. I just wouldn't do it to you. I just couldn't look you in the eyes at the end and think to myself, we've cut corners. So I've got to say to you, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, one of the questions you're going to have to make a decision on today, and this, my friends, is a very good piece of dialogue that's going to help you get more vendor paid advertising, is this. Please ask yourself, you have two options. Are you looking for an agent that is a house price maximizer, or are you looking for an agent who is a marketing minimizer? What are the two are you looking for? Because I've got to say to you, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've seen a lot of owners lose tens of thousands of dollars at the time of sale because they tried to save a few $1,000s in marketing at the time of listing. And I refuse to mismarket and say sorry later. My friends, I want to make sure people have been paying attention and been listening in. Can you please start typing in the chat box what have been some of your learnings in the last 10 minutes? Can you repeat that script, says Jacob? I will. The script is, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, are you looking for a house price maximizer, or are you looking for a marketing minimizer? So let's see some of these that are coming in. The buyer triangle is awesome. You need to be honest. Presentation at a pro, the three types of buyers. Overspend marketing to not undersell by $50,000. I'm new and I need to be more aggressive. You need to pride yourself on marketing. Definitely the triangle. Specific questions. House price maximizer, fee minimizer. Gang, I've got to hand it to you. The team here, you've been on the ball today. A lot of engagement because there's some strong takeaways there, my friends. Well done. Now, whilst we're talking about this presentation, I also want to let you know that there are 3 questions that you've got to be asking at every listing presentation. Here they are. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, what's the best real estate experience you've had in your life? Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, What's the worst real estate experience you've had in your life? Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to ask you, from your perspective, if you picked the perfect agent and ran the perfect marketing campaign, in your eyes, what would that look like? Guys and girls, please remember, listing presentations are all about uncovering what matters to them and then addressing them in your recommendations. And please, please, please remember, the number one thing in agent selection at listing presentations is vendors want to walk out of a meeting trying to work out which was the agent that I felt had a plan to get me the best price. We talk about so many things, but fundamentally, your conversation, which is really a story at a listing presentation, is all about how will this agent get me more money for my home? You've got to address that core issue. And I think that too many real estate agents are majoring on the minor. They're addressing the minor issues. But the major issue, my friends, is how will you get me more money? Aaron Bella says, reiterate is all about the process. It will get them more money. I'm really, really encouraged by the amount of engagement we've had on this webinar for the amount of people that are on here. We've had the Smart Brigade here just before Easter. Guys and girls, let's keep moving on. Want to give you some more scripts and dialogues. And what I'll do is, and I don't know how hard this is going to be, but Aaron, is there any way, Aaron, I can, so Sophie, is there any way, I'd love to get Aaron or someone else that wants to come on and role play with me live. I want to be vulnerable. I want to do a live replay. If we can bring him up on the screen. Aaron says he's in. Aaron says he's in. So Sophia, sorry to put you on the, Sophie, sorry to put you on the spot, but if we can get Aaron, Bill on, because what I want to do is I want to go through a role play situation sitting in the living room. Sophie, can we do this? Do we need? Are
we happy with just audio, or do we want him on screen?
If we can have him on screen, I think we can. We can't invite him, or is it too hard to invite him just to come on? Do we have to do it by email?
No, we can allow to talk, or I can promote him to a panelist. But Aaron, you'll be kicked off for 2 seconds, and you'll come back on with your camera on. Beautiful,
beautiful, beautiful. And I'm going to take my jacket off because it's getting hot in this room, my friends. And what I want to do, I really want to go through this exercise because I know that a lot of the times, you know, a trainer sits here and they're going on about things, and I know what life is like. No training plan survives collision with reality. And I realize that when you're sitting there in front of a vendor, yep, Sophie there, I think she's got him. So what I want to do is I'm going to share my screen. Share my screen. In fact, before I share it, here he comes. In comes Aaron Bell. Get Aaron to turn his camera on, which will come on in a second. And as that's happening, my friends, what I'd like to do is to let you know that one of the greatest things that you can say at a listing presentation when you want to push people towards you is to say, most of the vendors I speak to choose this as their preferred marketing campaign. Why, when you use the word most people? Because most people want to be most people. They want to be like what everyone else is. So what you want to do is say, most people are doing this. Guys and girls, sorry to put you on the spot there, Aaron, but I get these brain explosions when I'm live. How are you?
Fantastic.
Mate, thank you for doing this. Now, I'm going to make it nice and easy. I'm going to be the real estate agent, and you're going to be the vendor.
Yep.
Right? And I've come over to your home to do a listing presentation. You like me, you trust me, In fact, it might be even the second presentation I've done. And all I want you to do, Aaron, is to sort of say, but Tom, I really don't want to spend $3,000 or $4,000 marketing. I just want to handle that issue. All right. So let's go to it. So Aaron, today we covered the method of sale. We covered the value of your property. Aaron, we covered how long it's going to take to sell. We covered the advertising and what it's going to cost and our fee. Are you ready to go ahead, or is there anything you've got to ask?
Tom, I'm just a little bit concerned. I think the market at the moment is so good. I've seen all the houses around me sell so quickly. I don't really think that I have to spend a lot of money on marketing to get that result.
Yeah, I totally get it. You are right. The market is still really, really strong. But I want to let you know, Aaron, that compared to, say, September, October, November, it's probably come down a touch bit, but it's still really, really good. Aaron, at the end of the day, can I ask you, when you sell your property, what's the number one thing that really matters to you the most?
The price.
What you get in your pocket?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I just want to show you what that looks like in real estate. Okay. I just want to show you. So I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. Right. And what I'm going to do is, Aaron, I'm just going to show you. So what we're doing, Aaron, is at the moment, there's agent A and B, right? And what you're saying to me is you don't want to spend any money marketing. And I just want to show you how it works in real estate. This is actually called the net figure form. This is the net figure. This is what you get in your pocket at the end of the day. And I just want to show you what that looks like in real estate. The first thing that happens when you sell a property is the price. Now, let's assume you went with agent A. And agent A is an agent that used no marketing. And they went off and they sold your property for $800,000. The next thing that comes out is actually called the commission. So let's assume that they charge you 2% and they charge you $16K. The next thing that comes out is called the marketing. And let's assume that this agent charged you $0 in marketing. You go 800 minus 16 minus 0 is 784. That is your net figure. Alternatively, let's assume you went with agent B, a marketing-based agent. They went out and found the best buyer, not the first buyer. They went out and they outmarketed the competition. They treated your home like they were launching a new Apple iPhone. They plastered it everywhere. Basically, you could not ignore it. And because they did that, Aaron, they got a lot of buyer competition. And competition wins the grand final, competition wins Wimbledon, and competition gets top dollar in real estate. And because they did that and they did it really well, they sold your property for $840. And let's assume they charged you a little bit more because they got you a higher price. So they charged you 17 grand as a fee. And let's assume that their marketing was 3,000. 840 minus 17 minus 3 equals 820. As you can see, Aaron, agent A looked cheap here because they had $0 marketing, but at the end of the day, it impacted the price. Agent B looked like they were more expensive, but they got you more money. At the end of the day, I've got to say to you that marketing is an investment in the profits. And I've got to say to you, at the end of the day, the good news is that if we market your property and we show it to more people, you're essentially taking out insurance, Aaron, that you don't undersell the biggest asset you own. Aaron, can I ask you, how much money do you spend a year on car insurance?
About 40,000 a year.
Wow, you got a few expensive cars. Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, our business does, yeah.
Okay. What's the total cars worth? Roughly, what's the cars worth?
Probably 700,000.
So you're spending 40,000, right, in car insurance, right, to protect roughly 40,000 to protect $700,000 worth of cars.
Yep.
Well, I've got to say to you, I think you should be spending $3,000 to ensure we don't undersell the biggest asset you probably own, which goes up, not down like cars and metals do.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep, that's absolute gold.
All righty, mate. Thank you for jumping on this. Really appreciate it, legend. And I want to let you know, for jumping on, my friend, you are the winner of the Real Estate Gym membership competition. Mate, so realestate.com will be in contact. Where are you from, Aaron?
Camden, Southwest.
Beautiful.
Yep.
How's your market going at the moment?
Our market is like everyone else's market. It's been going gangbusters, but we can all see what's happening in the marketplace. So we've the smart ones will get smarter, and the ones that are a bit less smart, they'll move on.
As they say, Warren Buffett says it best: when the tide goes out, that's when you work out who's been swimming naked and who's had their swimmers on. I reckon you've had your swimmers on. I reckon you're on the ball. Thank you so much. I'll get you to log
off. Guys. Thanks, Tom.
I'll get you to log off.
All right.
All righty, gang. My friends, congratulations. Congratulations. Now, can I please get you in the chat box? Please, your biggest learning so far in this webinar, please type away. I just want to make sure that when we're putting on these events, that we're giving you value, because learning is earning. Andy says, using the stories and the facts, marketing is an investment in the profits. The net figure demonstration form. B, Agent B. Yes. Vicky Lamb says, yes. Well, I missed it. It's flying through. There's so much good feedback here. My friends, today, let's recap. We've covered marketing. We've covered some great scripts. We've covered, that beautiful piece of dialogue. What's more important to you, the risk of over marketing by $3 grand or the risk of underselling by 50 grand? We ran through the net figure form. We sat down and spoke to the #1 real estate agent in New South Wales. And I want to let you know, I had a goal to deliver 1 hour of quality content to the great realestate.com.au client base. Thank you so much. I want to wish everyone a great break. For those of you that are coming up, it's been a full-on 3-4 months of the year. Guys and girls, signing off. And remember, if it's got to be, it's up to me. Remember, there's no one that's going to save you in real estate. You've got to save yourself. And there's no better way to save yourself than becoming a marketing-based agent, because when you do that, you have recency and you become an attraction agent. Don't forget it. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. Guys and girls, signing off.